Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Ties That Bind. This is going to be a short broadcast, hopefully. Um, the main thing that we hear about in the news, or that we were hearing about for the past 3 weeks or so, was concerning the assassination of General Soleimani. And they basically, Trump officials, including Trump himself, have been steadily pulling back from the claims that state Soleimani was planning to bomb or carry out attacks on embassies, United States embassies in foreign countries. So they're pulling back from this, and now they're saying, well, he was just a bad guy. Well, guess what? That's your opinion. A lot of people, um, there are a lot of bad people in the world. You don't go around killing who you believe to be bad people. Um, the United States is going to start a war with Iran. General Wesley Clark, a few years back, uh, released information concerning what the Bush administration was planning. Basically, the neocons who are still in power were planning, and that was to take out 7 countries, starting with Iraq and Afghanistan and ending with um, Iran. As we know, we've taken out Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. Um, we're involved in Syria still. We have military action going on in Sudan, also Yemen, through our proxy Saudi Arabia, and we are now setting our sights on Iran. This could be just a large regional war once it gets started, or it could possibly pull us into larger conflict with Russia and even China. So, right now, even though we don't have going on besides Afghanistan what would be considered a hot war, we have cold wars going on. The United States is issuing sanctions, tariffs against China, sanctions against Iraq and Iran. These are acts of war. And the only ones who suffer are individuals who are not involved in the government apparatus. These sanctions do not really harm the members of the Iranian government or Iraqi government. Um, they only harm the individuals out there who then cannot have ready access to the things that they need due to these sanctions or this act of war by America. First off, the reason Iraq has sanctions or being threatened with sanctions is because Iraq wants the United States military to remove itself from Iraqi soil. So Trump says, if you push this, we will put sanctions on you, an act of war. First of all, the United States does not need to be the United States government. No government needs to be policing the world, especially an incompetent government that cannot police itself. No government, individual, or group of people who call themselves government have the right. No one has the right to try and police someone else who, like in the case of Iran, has not attacked anyone in hundreds of years. A lot of people say, well, what about 1979? Well, 1979, Iran did not attack the United States. They took hostage people at the United States Embassy there in Iran. But that was because in 1953, the United States, through the CIA, overthrew the democratically elected government of Iran and installed the puppet government with the Shah in charge. So anyway, now we have a situation where the United States is pressing for war with Iran. Um, and once again, they do not have the right to do anything like this. They are doing it, but they do not have the right. It's a criminal action. I don't care what you think of Trump, he is criminal. There are hundreds of bombs each day going off, are being dropped on civilians during this administration, more so than in the Obama administration and even the Bush administration prior to the Obama administration. Uh, Innocent people are being killed. Innocent people are being killed in Yemen through uh, our proxy Saudi Arabia in an illegal war. And Trump doesn't care about freedom. He doesn't care about the truth. He doesn't. He's in this for himself and his own interest. And if you don't believe me, then look up his last executive order concerning criticizing the state of Israel. That is now a crime. It's now a crime to criticize the state of Israel. And those of you who are in the NRA or say that Trump is not out to get our guns, well, red flag laws, if you're for red flag laws, if you're for background checks, if you're for taking away the ability to purchase a bump stock, I don't care if you people say, well, what do you need a bump stock for? That's none of your business. It's nobody's business why anyone has anything that they have, as long as what they have is not being used to damage another person's property or that person themselves. So it doesn't matter. Bump stocks, fully automatic weapons, none of your business who has them, as long as they are not carrying out crimes against someone. And by a crime, I mean where there's an actual victim, not just a breaking of some mandate that some politician or bureaucrat scribbled on paper. Anyway, I want to get to this. Last week on Ron Paul's Liberty Report, and I highly suggest watching that to all of you. It's a great show. I know that the people who actually watch this show and agree with me will love watching Ron Paul's Liberty Report. But he had Phil Giraldi on, a former CIA officer. And this former CIA officer said that everything that we're hearing in the news about the killing, and it was a murder, it was an assassination. Everything that we're hearing about the assassination of Soleimani on faux news and even CNN, um, it's false. It's all based on lies. Everything coming out of Trump's mouth about this is a lie. Um, pompous, pompous ass Pompeo. Everything coming out of his mouth is a lie. These people are being directed by Zionist bankers in the military industrial complex. They want to continue to prop up the petrodollar, and that's why they're going after Iran, because Iran does not trade oil in the petrodollar. I'm not sure right now if they're trading in the ruble or the euro. I have to look at that. I know that they go back and forth, but this is about propping up the petrodollar and having access and control of Iranian oil. We go all over the world, and we invade these countries just so we can control their natural resources. And people think that's not a crime. And what goes forth on the 10 o'clock news is that we're doing this, you know, uh, to preserve freedom, that our troops are fighting for freedom. I've got news for you. The last troops that fought for freedom that were American were wearing gray, and you have to go back to 1861 for that. Um, those were the last soldiers that fought for freedom because they were fighting against uh, an an invading force from Lincoln's Union. But anyway, the one thing that I do want to read here and go ahead and put my glasses on. This is an interview that took place with Joe Cortina. He is an ex-Green Beret, a former Airborne Special Operations officer. He is a U.S. Army Training Center commander. He's also an intelligence investigator and anti-terrorist advisor. So he is very aware of what's going on in the Middle East. This is an interview that took place with him. The interviewer asked, last Friday, by order of President Trump, the United States military killed General Qasem Soleimani by a Reaper drone strike in Baghdad. Also killed was prominent Iraqi commander of Iraq's Popular Mobilization Forces, Mahdi Mohandes. What's your reaction? Joe Cortina. U.S. military officials did not kill these generals, they murdered them. We use the word kill only in actual wartime scenarios. This strike, however, was made without congressional approval or notification, had nothing to do with security, and was executed in a civilian scenario. The U.S. military murdered these men, not killed them. This is coming from Joe Cortina. Now the our interviewer states, Trump is saying that Soleimani was responsible for the deaths of thousands of Americans, and Pompeo claims that Iranians regard the U.S. military as liberators by killing the general. How does this square with Iranian officials hailing Soleimani as a hero? Joe Cortina. If I wasn't so pissed off, I'd be throwing up. Trump is too stupid or willfully ignorant to know that Soleimani was at the forefront of the U.S.-led coalition to eradicate ISIS from northern Iraq in March 2015. Soleimani also, as a commander of the Iranian Quds Force, was part of the American-led coalition under U.S. General Tommy Franks fighting the Taliban in Afghanistan in October 2001. Moreover, Soleimani worked to protect Eastern Christians against ISIS. He worked to protect Eastern Christians against ISIS in both Syria and Iraq and empowered them to defend themselves as best they could. What do you think about that flag waving military supporting Christians? This man who was took out actually was helping believers defend themselves against ISIS. And a lot of people, and I've seen this on the internet through blogs and just different comments on videos, Christians defending Trump's action when here Trump illegally assassinated a man who was protecting Christians in Syria and Iraq against ISIS. So, and Cortini continues. As for the flunky at state, Pompeo put up a clip of a few Iraqis celebrating the death of Soleimani while parroting Trump's own lies that Iranians hated and feared him. However, Pompass, that's Cortina's own words, didn't show the millions mourning Soleimani in Iran, Iraq, and Syria, including the minorities in Sunni states such as Saudi Arabia and Bahrain. That's not hate and fear, that's honor and respect. Most Americans never heard of Soleimani, a soft-spoken man of high refinement, until his murder last week. Now they're clamoring as if Trump had slain the devil himself. And that's true. That is so true. Nobody had even heard of this man until a few weeks ago, and now he's responsible for 9/11. You have Pence, who's saying that he was responsible for 9/11 or behind 9/11. Once again, ludicrous, just complete stupidity from the United States government. So, the interviewer asked, will there be outright war? It could lead to that since that's what the Jews want. But first, we'll see a realignment in the region that bodies ill for America entrenched in the area on behalf of Israel. For with Trump conducting this undeclared act of war on the Iraqi and Iranian people by murdering their top commanders, it serves as a catalyst for a unified anti-American front. Both countries have every right to fight back due to their sovereignty being violated, and that's very true. It will be our soldiers, not Israel's, who will take the hit. The interviewer asks, so if not outright war with Iran and Iraq threatening retaliation, what will it be? First look for Joe Cortina. First look for various militias once again disjointed, along with the Iraqi government united with Iran. They will solidify, particularly if Trump designates Iraqi state allied militias comparable to our National Guard as terrorists, especially those militias with seats in the Iraqi parliament who've long been vocal about kicking the U.S. the hell out. This in turn will tighten up the anti-Zionist bloc, the axis of resistance made up of Iran, Syria, and Lebanon, and made even stronger with Iraq, as I predict, joining it. The Jewish lobby that rules America simply won't stand for it. Look for a false flag or two, missile strikes on a U.S. naval carrier, or bombs lobbed on U.S. bases, or even on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, carried out by Israel but blamed on Iran. And then all hell breaks loose, with counterattacks by the terror state of America and body bags of our young Gentile boys dressed up as soldiers fighting for democracy, coming home in droves, fighting for democracy, of course, in quotations. Interviewer, you don't sound too optimistic. Joe Cortina, it's endless war by design, brought to you by Israel and its pawns in the White House, and by the infestation of treasonous Jewish agents throughout America, along with countless Gentile shills who make a living out of sending our boys into harm's way. The entire Middle East hates Israel's fighting force, the United States military, and that kind of hatred, justifiable and unequivocal, stirs any opponent. Our Christian boys are fighting and dying for Israel, for Jewish supremacy worldwide, for Jewry that doesn't give a damn for anyone but their own. Even allies once used, like Soleimani, they toss in the trash. Wake up, Americans. Remove the shackles that Jewry has bound you with hand and foot. Indeed, that will make America a sovereign country once again. So that is what Joe Cortina, a former Green Beret, Special Operations Officer, and U.S. Army Training Center commander, also intelligence investigator and anti-terrorist advisor for the United States military, has to say about the fiasco going on right now in the Middle East. And, okay, I'm going to give a little scenario. You have a neighbor. He lives 5 doors up from you. This neighbor has never attacked anyone, but you have a pest control company. He does not use your pest control company that you own. He uses someone else, a pest control company that he owns. This pest control company, aka the petrodollar. So he's not doing anything. He keeps to himself. He does not attack anyone. There might be some, things going on in his house that nobody else's business. Few little skirmishes, fights, yelling, whatnot. And then his son, who actually helped to contract this pest control company for his dad, visits one of the neighbors, and you decide to take his son out. That's basically what's happened in Iraq. That's going very simple with it. But that's what's going on in Iraq, people, or Iran. We don't like the fact that they're not going to use the petrodollar. We want to control their oil. And so basically, just as I laid out in the scenario with the neighbor 5 doors up, you don't like the fact that he's using another pest control company because you have a pest control company and you want him to use your pest control company. So you found out that his son is the one responsible for contracting the pest control company he's using, so you kill his son. He had no right to do that. But that's how America works. It's a bully. The United States government. I shouldn't say America. Because I do love this country, I just hate this government. This government is nothing more than murderers, liars, and thieves. And nobody in America with the least amount of morality should support this government in any way, shape, or form, nor use this government to get what you want from other people. You cannot delegate the government to stand on your behalf to collect taxes from other people for your pet projects, whether it be schools, whether it be roads, whether it be anything like that. It's not your right. You don't have the right. So anyway, just wanted to leave that there because the whole thing with Iran has me pretty upset because I know this thing isn't over, and I know that there's going to be boys coming home in body bags. I know that it's going to hurt our economy. Our economy, the fundamentals and foundation of this economy right now is in shambles. Just because the market's going up, people think that is somehow a indicator of a great, robust economy, and it's not. The banks are who are pumping the money into the stock market. The economy is faltering. People are losing their jobs. People are having to work 2 jobs. And the economy basically has never been worse because the debt is being monetized and the dollar is about to collapse because of so much debt. A debt based economy is not a good economy. So, anyway, until next time, everyone have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful evening tonight. And leave your comments below in the comments section. Tell me what you think of America being the bully of the world. Also, I'll leave a link in the description for the store to visit. Get yourself some apparel that starts a conversation with people, letting people know what you think, that taxation, as this shirt says, is theft, and that we need to abolish government and we need to dismantle the military industrial complex. So until next time, signing out. Everyone, take care.